I started my microlocks April 18th. Like, I literally moved into my new apartment in Albania, and literally as I was signing the lease, my hair was in a huge afro. I started putting in the microlocks. I was like, I am no longer gonna be a detangling girly. I am over it. So yeah. Now I did actually already start interlocking the front of my hair. I did it maybe a month ago, June. I started doing the front of my hair in the middle of June. Yeah, I started doing the front of my hair in the middle of June, and I did like the whole front section. And I don't think I did the very front properly because I didn't know what I was doing. I was just winging it. And then I was finding like maybe I should actually watch a video on the interlocking process. And I know how to do it now. I figured out the method. And so I did the rest of it correctly. But as you can see, my hair grows like a weed. So I already have growth. It's time to interlock again. I never actually did the back of my head, and I really considered not doing the front again, but I'm like, I might as well just do the whole thing. And as you know, interlocking your hair takes a very long time, and I'm going to be doing it by myself. So this is probably going to take me, if I put in like maybe an hour or more every day, probably a week to 2 weeks, because I'm not going to kill myself doing it. I'm just going to take my time. There's no rush, really. So yeah, I decided that while I interlock my hair, I'm going to come on here and I'm going to do what I love to do best, and that's chit chat. Right now, I just literally took my hair and tied it right here to keep the front of my hair out of my face. If you know anything about Europe, you know that we are dying. It's hot. I do not leave my apartment during the day. I sit in my AC. I have no regrets. It's not a hot girl summer. It's a go outside and you die summer. Like, you can't be hot when you're sweating, in my opinion. Like, unless you're at the gym. Then it's like, oh, okay, she's really working out. I'm just trying to walk from one place to the next place. I literally cannot go outside without a fan. And most of the places to hang out here are like outside of like cafes and places to drink. They're mostly outside because it's summer and it's hot outside. So I'm a homebody anyways, and I don't have a problem with staying at home. Okay. This is not the tool. I was using this tool for my hair and I can't find it, and I have this other one. It's like one of those pimple poppers, but it came with so many, I never used all of them. And the other one I had, I think, was skinnier. So what I would do was I take my hair and I would create like a little loop like that. And then I would push it through the loop of the tool like so. And then I would just push it through the roots, doing the the little cross. So after I go up, it's supposed to go across and then down. And then across again. This one is really thin, so it came out. I think the one that I had before too, I think the hole wasn't as big either. And then you go across again. And then you just keep doing that same pattern until it's tight enough. It's too tight for you to get the tool through, or it's tight enough against your scalp. Yeah. So that's how that's how I retightened my hair before, and that's how I will be doing it. I was supposed to buy a tool and one of those three-way mirrors so I could see the back of my head before I left the States, and it just didn't happen. Yeah. So here I am with my one mirror and this tool that I created, and it's working perfectly fine. So be innovative, folks, especially when you technically don't have any other options. If it works, it works. And for me, this has been working, and it does exactly what needs to be done. See, like right here, it's pretty close to the scalp, and so trying to get the tool in, there's like the tiniest of gaps. That's fine. So one down. I don't know how many locks I have in my head. Maybe I'll count, maybe I won't. I don't care. One down, a lot to go. So what I want to talk about today, my very first memory was drowning. I know it sounds crazy. But yeah, that was my very first memory. It's very hazy. I don't know how old I was. I think I wasn't old enough to talk because I don't remember being able to communicate in the memory at all. And everything is kind of like, when I think about the memory, because you know when you have memories, you think about, you almost kind of picture yourself in the memory. But in this memory, everything was from POV. Like, I can't even imagine what I looked like. So I don't think I was aware of my own image at this time or age. I was with my mother and my auntie. I think we were staying at some type of place, like maybe a hotel or something. I just remember soft, like clay or stone walls and floors. I remember a bed. I remember everything like kind of being like a peachy, pinkish, cream colors. I remember stone or some type of material outside. I remember the sun. I remember the pool. I remember my mom and my auntie sitting on the edge of this pool with their feet in. In my memory, the pool was very small, like big enough for one person. Maybe it was a jacuzzi. I don't know. But that could also just be, the memory of a very small child. Everything seems, no, usually everything seems bigger. So I don't know. I just remember they were the only ones there. And as you can see, my parts are not super neat. I don't care about that. Um, as long as there's no other hair getting in the way of what I'm doing. Um, I'm just using just these little clips to keep the other hair out of the way. Yeah, I remember seeing them sitting on the edge of the pool and deciding that I wanted to also be in said pool. And I walked directly into it. I remember the water surrounding me, and I remember seeing the fabric of, I'm guessing, was my aunt's kimono or whatever she was wearing over her bathing suit, swimming, like kind of swirling in the water around me as she dragged me out of the water. So I didn't actually drown, but it was just such a surreal moment because I don't remember being scared at all. I don't remember being scared. I don't remember panicking. It just felt like an experience. And it's so interesting to me because I wonder if that's how all children experience life, just one experience at a time. Because we're taught to be scared. We're taught um, to believe the things that we believe. And yeah, I think about that memory quite often. Sometimes I even wonder if it was real. For all I know, maybe it was a dream. But I think about it quite often because of how I felt. I was just so unafraid. I was, I can't even call it confidence. It wasn't the feeling of, oh, if I step into this water, I'll be fine. It was just like, I'm going to do what I want to do because that's what I want to do right in this very moment. And so I did it. And I think about that a lot because as an adult, you know, I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. The constant struggle of hesitating to live life the way you actually want to live it, to literally jump when your body says to jump, to just do. There's always like this moment of, should I? What's gonna happen? There was never a moment when I walked towards that water that I thought, what would happen next? I wanted to be in the water, and so I walked into the water. I didn't think, will I be able to swim? Like, will it be cold? There was just no thoughts. And it's just like, I know like it can seem like, oh well, that's kids, their brains are not fully developed. But I don't know, I kind of disagree with that, with the sentiment of like children don't know any better. I think they know the best. They're just so authentic. And I feel like if we're really and truly honest with ourselves, we spend a lot of our lives as adults chasing childlike energy, that wonder, that innocence, that what we would consider today confidence to just do whatever you want when you want it. Yeah. um, and just in all things, you know? Like I think about when I was younger and I had my first relationships. I was in pre-K when I had my first boyfriend. I remember his name. His name was Byron. um, and my mom also met him and his dad for some reason. I can't remember why. Like I remember them coming to my house for like a brief moment. I don't know if it was so that we could meet or so that they could meet, because everyone was aware that that was my man, my man, my man. Okay. I used to give him a kiss every day before I would leave school. And I remember my mom came, she like picked me up one day and she was like, Gabby, you know, you can't kiss Byron. I was just like, why? Why not? You know, and it's just like, even now as an adult, I think about that certainty in this is the person that I want to spend time with. This is the person that I want to kiss. And so I will, you know? And there's just so much more around relationships now. So many rules. I mean, I will eventually get into like my thoughts around love and relationships, but I mean the dynamics, it's just so vast now. And when we were little, it was so simple. I like you, you like me. I enjoy being with you. I enjoy spending time with you. I want to hug you. I want to kiss you. And so I will. It was so simple. There wasn't any, oh, I don't want to waste my time with this person because, you know, there was just no trauma. There was no exes. And even if there were, it was just like, well, I don't want to be with you anymore. I'm going to be with this other person. You know, like things were just so simple. I remember when I moved on to kindergarten and there was another little boy that I liked, but I was still with Byron because we were also in kindergarten together. And I just added him to the roster. Not the roster, but you know, you would call it the roster nowadays. But he also just became my boyfriend. And they knew about each other. And we were all perfectly fine with it. It just made sense. You know? Byron was my boyfriend, and so was Lil Ray Ray. His name was Raymond, and I think we used to call him Ray Ray. He was just this little short, little cute thing. You know? And even stuff like that. Like, he was shorter than me. He had a big round head. I thought he was so cute, like a baby. And I liked him. I liked spending time with him. I thought he was fun. I wasn't the only little girl that had a crush on him, but he chose me. So. And yeah, it was just like, there was just no fear or hesitation around, I like you, you like me, so let's be together. And then there was no jealousy either. I don't recall them ever having any conversation or having any upset. It was just, he was my boyfriend. He was also my boyfriend. And I think they eventually became friends. I don't even, you know, like there was just, and like even just thinking about that dynamic as like an adult is like so funny because clearly, I mean, of course there are people out there who are poly and have that understanding and respect, or should have that understanding and respect where they can have that type of relationship. Ooh, this is looking crazy. After because you see I have like product buildup here. So after I am done, I will be washing my hair. Oh, you know what? I should do an apple cider rinse. Yeah. Or are you supposed to do that before? whatever. I'm gonna do what feels right. Um, so yeah, as I was saying, like I just think I think back. I'm a nostalgic person. I'm a Cancer moon and a Cancer sun, so I think back on the past quite often, especially my childhood, with sometimes very fond memories. And yeah, I just think about stuff like that. How certain I was about my choices. Now certainty feels like something I have to manipulate into existence. Something that I can only have if I'm controlling, which is really what manipulation is sometimes. If I'm controlling my reality, which is that a real thing? I don't think so. Um, but back then, I was so certain about everything. If I want this, I'm going to put in this action and I will have it. And if I don't have it, I don't care. I'll move on to the next thing. Imagine. Even that, like, back then, if I wanted something and I went for it and I couldn't have it, I would be upset for a day and move on. And it never felt like failure. Failure was something that was taught. It just wasn't for me. And I would get upset. And then I would move on because there would be something else catching my interest, because that's life. And yeah, it's just so crazy when I think about these things. Just how simple childhood was. And I wonder if, like, when people say they miss childhood, if that's really what they mean. I know a lot of it is like the lack of responsibility. You weren't paying bills when you were a child. But for me, it's not just the lack of responsibility. It's the freedom, the fun, the certainty that everything is going to be okay. And I know there are children in the world who don't have that. That certainty of everything being okay is definitely a privilege. And I don't want to ignore that. I love kids. I love kids so much. It makes me so unhappy that there are children who are unhappy. But let me not get caught up because I'm talking about my childhood. And one thing I can say about my parents, especially my mom, is that she created an environment where I was certain that I would be okay. And I appreciate her for that. Yeah. I was so gentle as a child. Well, at least in my memories. People tell me I was crazy. Um, I don't think I was crazy. I probably just did whatever I wanted. Which looks crazy to people who are older, I'm sure. But I remember being really gentle, really sweet. I wanted everybody to be comfortable. I wanted everybody to be happy. Um, I remember the first time I had an understanding of money. My mom had given me change from like Chinese food or something. And I took the quarters, I think, and the pennies I threw in the garbage. And she was like, "What are you doing? Da, da, da. Gabrielle, you can't throw away." Da, da. And I was just like, "But I didn't want it." Because in my head, it was a penny. So, and I can't get anything for a penny. So what is the worth of this penny? To me, it was worthless. It didn't occur to me that I could take that penny and add it to other pennies and get a quarter. I didn't have that knowledge. So to me, that penny because I couldn't put it in a gum machine and get anything was worthless. So I threw it away. And, she explained to me, that you can save it and add it, and that would create more money. And even after that explanation, I still didn't want it. Because I'm just like, well, if I keep it and save it and then it becomes more, that's not right now. I still can't do anything with that penny right now. So to me as a child, it was still worthless. And even like that concept is like, I'm sure as adults, so foreign. It's like, this penny, I'm not going to keep it because it's worthless. I can't do anything with this penny right now in this very moment. And if you know anything about The Power of Now, which is a book, or that concept of living in the moment, it's like, was I wrong? In that moment, that penny was worthless to me, so I didn't want it. I think I had multiple, and when she saw me throw away that one penny, because kids, we're not just gonna dash a bunch of pennies. We have to throw one after the other because it has to be a game. Everything has to be fun. Even that. She stopped me from throwing away the other pennies and explained to me, and I still decided that the pennies were useless. I can't put these pennies in a gum machine and get gum. I can't do anything with these pennies. Okay? What am I going to do with these pennies? I can't buy candy. I can't buy snacks. There's nothing I can do with these pennies. It was like 5 pennies, And so after she explained to me, like I said, I still considered the pennies worthless. So I think we were passing a homeless person. I just added it to his area. I think it's either I put it in a cup or gave it to him in his hand and kept it pushing, because my mom explained to me that if you collect money, you could have more. That I didn't care about that in that moment, because like I said, there was nothing I can do right then and there with those 5 pennies. And so I did not care about them. They were worth nothing to me. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm sure not all kids were like that, or maybe they were, because the value of anything is taught. I valued quarters because I knew that with a quarter, I can put it in a gum machine and get gum, or a handful of Skittles, or a ball, or a ring. I could get so much with a quarter in the 90s. I'm a 90s baby, So the value of a quarter made sense to me. The value of a quarter was high to me. I could get many things with a quarter, So I have buildup in some of these. So I'm just going to scrape them out as I go. Maintenance. Yeah. And it makes me think about The Power of Now, how we're supposed to be living in the moment of every moment and hold value in each of those moments, instead of thinking about the future constantly, the next, or the before. In my head, those pennies were worthless in that moment. It did not occur to me that in the next moment, I would not be able to receive something of value. You understand what I'm saying? Are we here? Like, it did not occur to me that I should save those pennies for myself in order to create more money for myself. Because in my head, in my reality, there wasn't a moment where I wouldn't have money when I needed it. And again, that is a privilege, but I'm sure a lot of children think that way when I want something, unless, like I said, sorry, it's so hard for me to focus on myself sometimes. I'm going to stop mentioning all of the children who do not have, and just focus on my own story. That's hard. In my reality, there wasn't a moment where I thought I was not going to go without. I believed that wholeheartedly. I was certain that if I threw away those pennies, that would not mean I would never have a quarter again. Even after my mother explained how much value those pennies had if you collected them, and how they could become the sum of a quarter, because it was not a quarter right then, because it was not my true desire, which was to have a quarter so that I can get something right then and there, it still did not have value to me. Because in the moment that I was living in, I could do nothing with it other than save it. And that's not what I wanted. My desire was to have something that I could get something else with. And I was certain that even though I didn't have that right then, throwing away that penny was not going to stop me from having it. Which is so interesting. I mean, how many of us now in this day and age think that way? That we are certain that just because I don't have something now does not mean I won't have it later. I will. So this moment has no value, but that's okay, because the next moment might have value. So this moment doesn't matter. Are we here? Am I making sense? Yeah, these are just thoughts, thoughts that come with memories. Yeah. I know I'm supposed to be doing my hair. I'm getting distracted by my own memories. But yeah, it's just so interesting when I think back on my childhood and like the fearlessness, I mean, I know a lot of people who say, kids had it right. Even before we were able to talk and speculate, I remember I did a Tai Chi class when I was 19 at my local Y. And he talked about the way that children walk, the way that they move when children learn how to walk and they do that wobble, and how some children walk with their feet kind of turned towards each other, and how that opens the hips. It's like so many things that we consider as adults as not right, as incorrect, is actually so healthy for our body. And children just knew that. They just did that. And everything that we correct in children, a lot of times, is incorrect. I remember when I had a yoga teacher when I was in my early 20s, when I was like 25, I got a yoga teacher. Shout out, yoga teacher. You know who you are. She's an amazing woman. Um, yeah, and we talked about getting up. And she taught me to walk like when I'm in the cat cow position, which, if you imagine a cat and a cow, you're on all fours, your hands and your feet. And the way to get up out of that position, especially for me, because I am a heavier woman and it wasn't easy for me to just jump up, you know, to walk my hands back to my feet and then get into like a little squat and stand. And she's like, that's how children get up. And they do that because it's balance. It feels good in the body to get up that way, to take your time and, you know, instead of just springing up. And even if you do spring up, you spring up from a squat, and how that protects your joints and all of these things that kids just do naturally, that they just know. And that gets programmed out of them. Yeah, these are the things that I think about quite often. Like, not only for myself, but also for when I have my own children, to just allow them to be. Because, and I know this might seem almost blasphemy for some adults, but kids know better. They know better. And when we think that the things that they're doing are wrong, 9 times out of 10 is because we were taught that these natural occurrences, that these natural behaviors are wrong. And I'm not saying, you know, to let your kids do whatever they want, be disrespectful, all these things, but also ask yourself, what is respectful? I remember recently, actually, I thought about this. I was working at a YMCA, a conference center, and there was a school group there. And yeah, I remember sitting at my desk and they were just all walking by. Some of them looked at me. Some of them looked at me and um, just kept walking. And I was like, wow, these kids are so rude and disrespectful. Like, they didn't even say hi, they didn't say good morning, they didn't even acknowledge my presence. And because I was by myself at the time, um, I didn't have anyone to talk to about it except for myself. And so when you're by yourself, I feel like that's like the best time to really think, because you have no outside opinions around. And for the first time, I really sat there and I was like thinking about it and how I felt, like I said, disrespected by these kids for not acknowledging my presence. And it was kind of funny because I thought about the reason why I thought it was disrespectful. And it's because I grew up in a Jamaican household. And I know it's not just a Jamaican thing, you know, but in my home, when you see an adult, you have to acknowledge their existence. Hello, good morning, how are you? You cannot just walk in and walk by. And I was taught that that is what you do. And if you don't do it, it is rude and it is disrespectful. But when I really sat there and thought about it, I was like, what exactly is rude and disrespectful about it? Like, okay, I understand the concept of being a child and coming home and acknowledging your parents' presence. You know, these are the people that brought you into the world. These are the people who are providing you with a home, with sustenance, with security, with safety, or that's what parents should be doing. The bare minimum, honestly, is what they should be doing. Um, so I understand the concept of acknowledging this person who brought you life and is continuing to give you some sentiment of a good life. I understand that. That makes sense to me. But then when I was thinking about it, I'm like, these kids don't know me. I am a stranger. I am a stranger. You know, why do they need to acknowledge me? They don't know me. They don't know me. They and also like they also could just like not feel like it. There were many times when I came home and had a bad day and I didn't feel like fucking talking. I did not feel like talking. Okay? I did not feel like looking at anyone. I did not feel like interacting with the human species. But because it was taught and programmed and ingrained in me, I still, hi mommy, hi daddy, whatever. And I know that there were times where I resented even having to open my mouth because I just did not feel like it. But because I was taught that is what you do, and if you don't do it, you would receive some type of reprimand or punishment, I did it. But I'm thinking about these kids who, like, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't even like being awake so early in the morning. It's 9 o'clock in the morning. They have a whole schedule of BS to do, and they have to acknowledge every single adult that they see because what? They're an adult? You know? And I really sat there with that. And I was just like, why should I feel disrespected because some kids that I don't know and probably will never see again or will never even have a conversation with? I don't know anything about these children. I don't know what they've been through. I don't know about their day. I don't even know technically sometimes what they're here for. You know? I just check them in and make sure that they have their room. Why am I allowing myself to feel a negative emotion towards them just because they did not do something that I was taught is respectful? Isn't that interesting? And I was just like, wow. And I remember, I think I like messaged or like sent a voice note to my cousin about it, who grew up the same way. And I was just like, bro, like I just had this like epiphany. um, yeah. I'm just like, wow, like I never really deeped this before. But it's just like the amount of things that we look at children and younger people and say, oh, they're so disrespectful. They're so uneducated. They have no home training. And there's definitely some things that I'm just like, are you okay? Did it not occur to you that you needed to ask before you did that? Yes. I'm not going to sit here and act like there ain't some things that it's just like, you should know better. But also, like, take moments and ask yourself, you know, what is the actual issue here? Is it actually disrespectful? Is it actually rude? Is this actually something that I should even be upset about? Or was this something that I'm projecting onto someone else because that is my program? You know? Yeah. Sometimes I remember growing up and I would see kids like a little bit younger than me. Like I was probably like 10, 12. And I would see these kids who would be running around, yelling on top of their lungs in public spaces, sitting on the ground, which to me was like, and I'm just like, what is wrong with these kids? As a child myself. Because by 12, by 10, I've been programmed to believe that there is a certain way that you should act when you are outside. There's a certain way that you should act when you're inside. There's a certain way you're supposed to act when you're at school. There's a certain way you're supposed to act when you're on a playground. And then, of course, playground leaves us so early. I don't know about other countries, but in America, after elementary school, there is no more playground, you know? And it's like that opportunity to express yourself fully with all the energy that you have in your body as a child. There are many kids like me who were not allowed to do that. And I understand, you know, especially when you are a person of color, especially when you are a child of an immigrant, especially when you are an immigrant, especially when you are a child of circumstance. You know, maybe your parents are rich as hell and you have to look a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand why those programs exist. Because when you have certain circumstances, you're supposed when you have certain circumstances, society has told you that you are supposed to show up this way in order to be accepted. And the fact of the matter is that when you are a person of color, when you are a child of color and a child of immigrants, you may want to run around and scream and act, quote unquote, a fool outside in front of other people. But where blue-eyed, blonde-haired Sally, it would be cute and funny for brown skin, brown-eyed Gabby. It's ghetto. It's disruptive. It's a problem. And it wasn't until I got older that I truly understood why I wasn't allowed to act that way. You know? I didn't really understand. As a child, I accepted whatever my parents told me. Because for me, they knew best. You know, they were my parents. So I never thought about it much as a child. It wasn't until like in my teenage years, in my early 20s, that I started to question these things and wonder about these things and come to the conclusion of why these things were set into place. But it's just like thinking even about that, the concept of a child being rude and disrespectful because they're being a child. And which children are allowed to be a child and which children are not. You know, I wasn't allowed to get dirty. I wasn't allowed to be loud. I wasn't allowed to sit on the ground. That's dirty. I wasn't allowed to run around and be out of my parents' eyesight. That's dangerous. I wasn't allowed to be disruptive. That's ghetto. I wasn't allowed to do certain things. I remember when I was like 10 years old, it was a beautiful day and I wanted to do my hair. And I just was like, yeah, I'm going to go outside and sit on my little steps. Like there was like little steps up to the house. Because it was like the garage, the driveway, the garage, little walkway, steps up to the front door. And I decided to go sit in the sun in my front yard, because we definitely had a backyard with a back patio that I could have sat on, but I wanted to sit in the front yard and watch the kids like jump on the other kids, because I was also a child myself, which I forgot a lot of times, and sit on the steps and watch the other kids jump on their trampolines and run through their water, things that I was not allowed to do and also didn't have access to sometimes, and just put my hair up in a ponytail. And I remember my mom caught me before I could go outside, and she told me not to do that because it looks ghetto. And, like even that concept of like what is ghetto and what is not ghetto and who does things that then it becomes ghetto. As a child, it did not occur to me that it would seem ghetto if I put my hair in a ponytail on my front step in front of my door. But if, Daisy decided to put her hair in a ponytail, it would be cute. I didn't even understand that at that time. So when she told me that it would look ghetto in my head, all little girls who go outside and sit in front of their house and do their hair, that is ghetto. You understand? So yeah, I just think about these things, these memories, and what they meant and how they shaped me, and how much work I do now to unshape a lot of the shaping. Yeah, and just having like understanding and grace for my parents and the lessons that they taught me because they thought they were necessary, and lessons that they were probably taught, and lessons that I will not be teaching my kids. Yeah, I don't know, I think it's all so fascinating, like even me doing my hair. I grew up with hairdressers. My mother was a hairdresser, my auntie was a hairdresser, and they did my hair the majority of my life. I never went to hairdressers. I've been to a hairdresser, I think twice, and it was the same woman, and she didn't do what I wanted both times. Yeah, but I learned how to do my hair when I was 10 years old. And at the time, my hair was permed. So I was really just, you know, straightening my hair, curling my hair. I would wash my own hair, and I would wrap it and then style it the next day. Um, and I taught myself how to do that because I had seen it done 1,000 times when my mom would do it and when my auntie would do it. And so that was easy for me to do. And and that gave me the confidence for when I decided to big chop my hair, to learn how to do my hair as a natural, to do my natural hair. I remember when I saw this girl at school and her hair was so curly, and I was like, girl, how do you keep your curls that nice and juicy? Like, my hair looks like that when it's wet, but then when it dries, it's like a bush. And she pretty much did not, she gate kept. She did not want to tell me and my cousin, who had big chopped around the same time, what to do in order to get our hair that juicy, which, shame on you. I can't remember who you are. Ew. Gatekeeping with your own folk. That's wild. So I went on YouTube and I taught myself how to do my hair. And people would ask me all the time, how'd you do this? How'd you do this? And I'm like, I learned on YouTube. And they still wanted me to teach them. And I told them, and I would send them videos and all the things. I never gate kept because that just didn't make any sense to me. It's hair, and we're all just we all have the same goal, and that's to look cute. So, let's look cute together. Yeah, but I had the confidence to do my own hair because I have been doing it since I was 10 years old. So I went from doing my permed hair to doing my natural hair to eventually locking my hair when I was, that was 6 years ago. So I was 20. I was 25. Yes, I was 25. Okay, the math came to me eventually. Don't judge. I was 25, locked my hair. I had the confidence to do my hair when I locked it, and it was a learning progress. And when it was no longer working for me, I combed it out, and then I learned how to deal with straightening natural hair. I straightened it. I did roller sets. It was fun. It was big. It was beautiful. I loved it. I did not like detangling my hair every time I had to wash it, though. I also did not like that if any humidity hit my hair, it would not last. I did not like my curls dropping. So there was that. And I was just like, I knew that I was eventually going to get like micro locks or do micro locks. And when it was time to do that, I had the confidence to do this. And I'm not following all the rules. I did not go and, get sister locks, which I do not call my hair sister locks because apparently there's rules around that. I don't even subscribe to the idea of rules when it comes to your hair. It's the hair that grows out of my head. I do what I feel like is best for my hair. I can't remember why I started talking about this. It doesn't matter. But yeah, like, certainty and confidence around doing something that comes naturally to me brings me joy. And I want to do more of that. I am now 31. I spent my 20s learning, unlearning, healing. And now I want to live my life in enjoyment. And one thing I love to do is to talk. I love talking. I love talking about things that I figured out. I love talking about things that I've learned. I love talking about myself. And I have been called for a long time to share with the world. So this is me sharing. And I'm just going to continue to do so because it feels good. So yeah, I'm coming up to almost an hour on this video. I'm going to do one more lock, or maybe two, maybe one more, so you can see again the process of how I do it. And then I create some type of part, clip it, and once I start to get towards the middle of my head, I clip it on both sides so that I don't accidentally pick up hair that does not belong in here. I do a little loop, I scoop it through, I pull it through, and then I do the formation. 1, a 2, a 3, and a 4. Oh, it fell out, but then I go up. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.